So the fundamental question which was asked is, what's the purpose of life? Couldn't understand why we were given life if it's so punishing. Now, the only institution that mattered during the day, the Catholic Church, which was the only international institution of the time, provided an answer. It said life is preparatory for death. You see, if you live life correctly, you've got an infinite sojourn in paradise or heaven, so why the hell worry about 27 years? The only thing to worry about is live it in such a way that you make the right turn afterwards. And so that was the generalized belief. And as a result, the Middle Ages focused on spiritual life and afterlife, not this life. And that's easy to see by looking at the art and the literature of the time. You don't see any realism to speak of. You know, you see Dante's Inferno, Milton's Paradise Gained, Paradise Lost, pictures of gods and angels floating around, but no realistic scenes of everyday life because the preoccupation was with afterlife. Now, two things happened that began to convert. The first was Peter the Hermit's crusade, which for the first time led hordes of men, estimated around 40,000, across the face of Europe, who for the first time came in contact with cultures other than the one in which they had been born. And they observed differences and became curious about those differences and began to ask questions. And why do these people have a different set of values than we do? Why do they have different habits than we do, different trades than we do? And that led to the movement called the New Humanism. And the new interest in the nature of man led to a new interest in the environment of man. Now, that was accompanied by the opening of trade out of the city-states of Italy, where similarly merchants began to visit other cultures as far as you know, as far east and west as India and China, and saw cultures again completely different than ours, and emphasized the question of what's responsible for those differences, and became curious about man. Now, in one obscure encyclical during the Middle Ages, curiosity was actually declared as a sin. But despite that, like birth control today, people ignore it. And so they began to inquire into the nature of man and his environment. And that led to the movement called the Renaissance.